Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome back to 10 Count. I'm Steve Fall. It's morning where I am. It's night where she is. I am talking to Thekla, the toxic spider. How are you doing today?
Toxic Spider in the house. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for
I'm
having
doing
me.
I'm doing great. Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And that hair, it's magnificent. If only my hair would continue to grow, but my three children have sucked it, I guess, sucked it out of my head or pushed it back in. I don't know, but it's amazing. What inspired your look? Because I love it so much.
Well, okay, so every time you see my hair, it's every week I got something new going on. It's always 8 braids,
Mm,
spider, eight legs. So
I'm picking
everything
up
has a
what you're putting
meaning.
down. So that's the reason you just are fascinated by spiders as well, because obviously, spiders are usually these a spider, I'm scared of this. And then yet you are bringing it towards you. You are bringing it closer to your heart, and you're actually slowly becoming a spider, it seems, with your hair.
That's right. Well, the things that you fear, you have to, keep close to you.
Oh,
Take it
embrace the
in,
darkness like a
embrace it,
Batman.
embrace the darkness. That's right. No, I was never afraid of spiders. I mean, I see how some people might be, but I was, I kind of, um, I'm taking that, how do you say, to my advantage,
Mm-hmm.
sort of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are afraid of spiders, so of course I'm gonna make that my ultimate weapon.
I love it so much. Now, I watched a previous interview with you before, and you mentioned you kind of had to be at a crossroads, professional wrestler or an artist. Now, but in the interview, I don't think you ever said what type of artist. I was very intrigued. What were you going to do besides wrestling?
Well, artist, you forgot to mention musician and also illustrator, graphic designer. I'm all over the place. When it comes to art, I was doing basically media art. That's
Hmm.
where I have my master's degree. So it's really everything. I like to draw. I like to design stuff and like costumes, shirts, everything. Yeah, I'm just a creative person. I like to create stuff.
Nice. Because yeah, I did an interview and I was like, man, what would have been the world like if you didn't become a professional wrestler? Because you're a former SWA Stardom World Champion, and yet
That's right.
Stardom is growing at an extreme rate right now. Everyone knew of Stardom, everyone enjoyed Stardom, but it feels like a rocket ship has been strapped to its
Yeah.
back and now it's just shooting to the sky. Why do you think it's growing at such a fast rate?
Um, I don't know. Like I came to Stardom a year ago, and I was already thinking, "Wow, look at the roster. Everybody's a star. Everybody's so good. It's like, what's gonna happen, And it was going like this, bum, bum, bum. And I came there, and it got worse, better or worse, however you want to call it.
I would
It's
say
just,
better.
it's yeah, better. I mean, but you got to think about all the other companies. I
Yeah.
mean, Stardom is just pushing everybody away. We're just too good. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, the best women's wrestling is in Stardom right now. We have all the talent, all the production value. Our shows are just huge. Every match, everybody puts everything on the line for every pay-per-view, and even the matches we have outside of Tokyo, the smaller matches. It's just everybody's working very hard.
Right.
So
It's incredible. It's truly
yeah,
incredible to see this because professional wrestling, and I feel like the past like 2 years has just everything. Every company I feel like is just growing at an extreme rate because of the quality, the free agents appearing in these places that we didn't get to see
yeah.
before. And let's go back to July 29th, 2022. Stardom in New Japan announced the IWGP Women's Championship. Now, this is going to be a huge moment for women's wrestling because over the past decade, we've seen women main event pay-per-views, WrestleManias, we've had women's Royal Rumbles, we've had Stardom extremely grow at such a rate. How big of a deal was this for the women to now establish that Stardom had a championship in New Japan Wrestling?
I think it's quite a big deal. Like we also had the crossover show
Yes.
in was it October or November? I don't remember. But that was also historic. It was the first time that New Japan and Stardom were coming together. I think it's a pretty big deal. Like everybody was talking about it. Also, all the girls. Obviously, everybody wants that championship. But it's also cool that we're slowly catching up to New Japan. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, New Japan is obviously the biggest company in Japan, but Stardom has been so fast, as you said before, in catching up. So it's quite a big deal because you feel like there's not a gap between the man's wrestling and women's wrestling anymore, at least around here. I mean, we're being treated like stars, as we should be, and honestly, it's if Stardom might not be even more popular these days in Japan. I don't
Wow.
know about the rest of the world, but we're doing pretty good these days, I'd say.
That's a bold statement. I love it so much because
It
here,
is. It
but
is. Yeah.
it is. But here in America, for as long as I can remember, there was only, WWE, New Japan, even AAA. So then, as years have gone on, AEW and Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor dying and then coming back. There's been so much, but in Japan, obviously, the wrestling scene is completely different than it is here in America. But yet, the audience, I think. Women's wrestling, just in general, not just even Stardom, women's wrestling, I think, has been like beyond accepted as a not an alternative, but a better product sometimes because of just I think the chip on the shoulder might be the case of women's wrestling was for so long was looked at in America at least as like, oh, it's a bathroom break, a pillow fight. But in
Yeah.
Stardom and across the world, women's wrestling has kind of been very accepted for a very long time. In America, it's catching up. So is that what you mean by that? Is like there's a movement for Stardom and it's getting bigger and bigger. It might be bigger in New Japan, but in America, I think finally it's catching fire because with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone now involved with New Japan, involved with Stardom, and February 18th, Battle at the Valley. It's sold out. It is sold out
So
with
quick.
one match announced. One
Yeah.
match. This is huge. This is a huge opportunity for more eyeballs. The Sasha Banks audience that knew her in the WWE, bringing that audience in connecting with her new character, Mercedes, her real name, to Stardom New Japan. This is a huge moment. More eyeballs are ever going to be on Battle in the Valley. Is this a huge moment for women's wrestling and for Stardom?
Um, so the thing is, I was at the Tokyo Dome. I was in the crowd. I saw Mercedes come in, like that, and it was just huge. It was just, it just looked so great, and she looked great, and it was just like you could feel that this is the beginning of something else because you have all these people who are so hyped for her to come back, or to do something new, and she came out with a new look, and everything was just, well, what's gonna happen? So I knew at that moment, okay, a lot of people are gonna, look at this, and through that, they're also gonna, all of a sudden, Stardom and New Japan is gonna be on the radar. So I was thinking, this is really, I think, for everybody, also the time to, even take everything to the next step at this point. You know what I mean? Because it's possible that we're gonna have all this attention. So we just want to show our best. And it's very exciting. I mean, wrestling nowadays, it's completely crazy. I mean, everything's happening at the same time. So, but it's really exciting. It's cool to be around. Yeah.
I know. I think that would be it was a huge moment. I think that would have been a story for the next month. But unfortunately, in wrestling, every day there's a new story, and every
Yeah.
day there's a bigger story sometimes, or
As
a, oh
we're
my God
talking.
story sometimes. As we're
Yeah.
talking right now, even
Yeah.
oh, Mercedes, oh my God, she's in New Japan. What? Wait, Vince McMahon has forced himself back on the board of directors
Yeah.
of the WWE. What? Sorry,
What?
Mercedes.
Stephanie McMahon? What was which
Stephanie McMahon
resigned?
is
Oh,
yeah,
really? Oh.
yeah. Stephanie
It's like
McMahon's out.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Are they
wake
selling
up
the company?
something.
you know so in wrestling, obviously in America, WWE is the be all end all. It's the NFL of professional wrestling. And then of course now with rumors running rampant that the WWE is going to sell the company to an organization that many American fans not very happy about. But if you're a stockholder, most likely you're very happy because you're going to get to cash out and have money in your pockets that you didn't have before. So that's kind of the two sides of it. There's the wrestling part of it, and then there's the business part of it. Are wrestling fans happy about what's happening? Probably not. Are
Probably
the
not.
business side of people happy? Yes, because money's being made. And that's kind of where it comes down to is what matters, creative or cash. And obviously you want to be creative, but obviously, what are you doing this for? To put food on your table. You can't go to the bank and say, I'd like to have a loan, please. Oh, do you have any collateral? Yeah, I have passion and good creative. They're like, that doesn't
Not
really help.
quite.
So what do you
Yeah.
think about all of this in the wrestling world? This could flip up everything upside down. Not just New Japan, not just Stardom, everywhere. With the fact that the WWE is going to sell to a company that people might not go, I don't know about that.
I mean, I don't want to say much about it. I don't really. Of course, I didn't grow up with watching WWE. I came to wrestling rather late, with 18, 19. I started to watch WWE regularly at that point, so quite late. But I don't know. They've dominated the wrestling scene for such a long time. If they get sold and nothing good comes off that, I mean, I don't. It's interesting. I have no idea what's gonna happen,
Right.
But then at the same time, as I started to really get into the business and be out here in Japan, it really what happens in WWE is not very relevant to me at this
Mm-hmm.
point right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, especially as we talked before, because Stardom is just so strong right now. And I can imagine that even a lot of people in maybe even in the WWE in the women's division would like to come to Stardom. I mean, this sounds crazy maybe to some people, but then hey, we do have Mercedes come in. She
Yes.
always wanted to come to Stardom
Yeah.
to Japan. But now she is kind of. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but she's kind of in Stardom now, or at least close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So and I've seen people tweet out, people who are working for the WWE. I've seen them tweet out, hey, my dream match is with Julia from Stardom. So all of this is not, it's not that crazy actually. And for me personally, I mean, obviously the WWE is used to, I'm gonna say used to, be the biggest thing out there,
Yeah.
producing the best wrestling there was. But for me personally, it was, I don't want to say never ever, but I'm more of a, I need to express myself, and the WWE is not necessarily known for letting people have creative freedom.
Yeah.
So
We'll have to wait and
like
see.
that. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. No.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, because I agree with you that for so long the WWE was the be all end all. But like last night, as I'm sitting on my computer and all this is happening in front of my eyes, I'm like, oh, I'm going through like the stages of grief and happiness and sadness. I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah,
terrible. But this is good for everybody else. Well, this is terrible for them. And it comes down to it. We really believe that yes, at one point, if this was happening, and the WWE was being sold and all this stuff was happening, it'd be like, oh no, the wrestling world's over. But it's not, because you have so many other avenues with
yeah,
New Japan, Stardom, Tokyo Joshi. You have
yeah,
AEW, Impact,
yeah.
NWA, MLW, Progress. I could keep WXW. I could keep going on and on and on and on. There are places to go. The business is not going to die.
No, it's
It's
not.
not the end of the world. It would be a sad end to a great run. But guess what? Sometimes in life, the end must come. We all must pay the piper sometimes, and this might be it. And that's okay with me, because still, as we talked about, Mercedes inside Stardom is something I don't think anyone would have predicted. We all have pipe dreams, we all have fantasy matches in our brains, and those are just fantasies. But yet, here we are on February 18th, Battle in the Valley. The championship is on the line. But let's talk about you, though, because there was a story about how COVID kind of really made you decide your life decisions, where
Yep.
you either had to choose the path of getting out of Japan or staying in Japan and hunkering down during the beginning of the pandemic. Can you share that story? Because I think that's an inspiration to everyone trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And sometimes life decides what you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there, really. I just went with the flow actually. So my story is 2019 I went on my first Japan tour, 6 weeks, and I thought, oh, this is brilliant. At that point I didn't really know much. I couldn't really, I mean, I had like 14 matches or something in total. So this was just kind of, I was training and just traveling around, and they were showing me the ropes for the first time, actually. So, and after living in a dojo for 6 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back home to Austria. I'm gonna finish my, I'm like my university studies, and then I'm gonna go straight back to Japan for another tour. So I was like, okay, that's the plan. So half a year later, it's 2020 February. I come back to Japan. I was gonna be there again for 6 weeks only, and then in the last week, right before I was gonna go home, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna lock everything down." Yeah, especially it started in Europe earlier. And then everybody was starting to panic, and I I was close to starting to panicking, but then I thought, you know what, this really feels very good here.
Mm.
I mean, I'm really enjoying this. Maybe there is, maybe there's a reason why this is happening, or that I'm not. It just, I was super close. I already packed all my bags, because the Austrian embassy was like, all Austrians should go back to Austria now. Stuff is getting dangerous. We don't know what this pandemic's gonna be like.
Mm.
People were calling me, everybody go home. We're leaving. So I went to the airport. I was really close to,
Wow.
just going back. And then I just talked to, I don't know. I was just sitting there talking to my mother. She was like, "Yeah, you get back home right now. And my
Yeah.
friends were like, you know what, maybe this is a chance. Then I talked to some strangers who were like, oh, that sounds like a cool story you got there. Maybe you should stay. And I was like, yeah, yeah, maybe I should stay. And then I just went back to the dojo. I asked them if I could stay, and they were like, yeah, sure. I mean, these are crazy times. So that's how it happened. They locked everything down. I stayed at the dojo 24/7. Didn't really leave, but that's when I started to really get into, training for 30 hours a week. In back to my room, by myself, watching, old school matches. Really getting obsessive about wrestling, and while everybody else was kind of, you know, locked down wherever they were, I had the big opportunity to just, take my chance and train, and just get good at this.
Wow.
So yeah,
So who else was in the dojo? Other people were there as well, or just
I
you?
know. Yeah, just me. I mean, sometimes, of course, the trainer, like the coach would come in. My coach was Mio Shirai. That's Io Shirai's, Io Sky now.
Mhm.
It's her sister.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so she would come in, but other than that, a lot of people would still, stay home. So sometimes I was training with our coach, and then maybe one or two other girls. So I had a lot of, there was a lot of attention. Um, you know, um, for me, it was brilliant. And then other than that, it was just the boss. But I was always by myself.
Wow.
At 9 p.m. everybody was out. I had the whole place to myself. It was great, but it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah.
It sounds like isolation could be a
Yeah.
problem for some, but obviously it wasn't for you because of
Oh.
your connection to the spiders. No, but really, you don't hear positive stories involving the pandemic. You don't. And at all. Everyone was affected. I
Yeah.
was affected. My children were affected. My neighbors, my
Yeah, of
mother,
course.
my father, anybody, everyone. It sounds like out of every terrible story, there's one. There's one
There's,
story,
there's
and
the spider.
somehow you being locked in a room in the dojo and going back to your room by yourself somehow benefited you and got you more training, more valuable time in the ring.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is
Yeah.
truly again, this is like if someone isn't listening right now and wants to make a movie, this is what you need to do. The positives of the pandemic.
Yeah.
101. That's amazing. So while you're there though, are there moments of I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't have done this, or you're just like, I'm so deep into this now that I gotta keep going?
I don't know. Like once I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna do this. Of course, I, I was very focused, but I was also at no point I was really scared of anything. I wasn't. I mean, I knew it was. But then sometimes, for example, I would maybe have like smaller injuries, and then I would wake up, and I'd be in pain for example, or I'd get sick. And then sometimes it would hit me that hey, I'm here by myself. Nobody feels responsible for me. If something happens, I'm gonna be out here, and nobody's gonna care, you know.
Mm.
So that's something. But I was at that point, I was mentally strong. I was just like, hey, this is a chance, you know. I mean, everybody's having a tough time now. I wasn't gonna. I didn't feel like, you know, feeling sorry for myself because I thought I made a crazy choice, and I'm gonna go through with this without, you know, just I was just like, I'm gonna make this. This is gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay.
And
So yeah,
obviously it's
and it
working out.
was.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yep.
obviously it's working out for you because
Yeah.
anytime there's a Stardom event or really anything, I see your face, I see you're in action. It's so clearly the decision to stay benefited you, but again, it could have gone completely sideways as you brought up. You're by yourself, you get sick. What's someone gonna do? Come take care of you? They could if they want to, but at the same time, do they need to? Is it their
No.
responsibility? No. Like your
No.
mom was calling you on the phone, get home, get home, get home, because obviously
Yeah.
suddenly you're sick. Like I had COVID twice. First time I had it,
Yeah.
it was like I had wheezy coughs. That was it. I was hee, hee. The second time I had it, I was down.
Dead, knocked
Yeah,
out.
I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot get out
I
of
know.
here. I am stuck in my bed. I don't feel well, and then even getting the shots. You get the shot, suddenly I'm like, I'm down. Yeah, that's exactly what happened in the CVS. I was like, they gave me some
Yeah, I
crackers.
know.
But seriously, this could have gone terribly wrong for you, and yet you pushed forward, followed your dream, and inspired probably many others to go, if she can go train during the
Yeah.
pandemic, there was no roadblocks.
You do have to take risks, and if you want to make it to your personal next level, and that's always my thing, you know, I can't be out there for too long and not, you know, not learning something new, not you know, understanding something about myself or the world, you know what I mean. But the thing with that is, you know, the first time I stepped into that particular dojo, I felt like this is it, you know.
Mm,
Like this, like the way it smelled, the way it looks, I felt like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but this is good, you know.
right.
So being stuck there all of a sudden, it didn't feel, I wasn't that scared. It just felt right. I was like, there are other things that I'm more afraid of, you know, not having an interesting story to tell. That's something I fear, you know. Or waking up at some point, you know, in 40 years and being like, man, I missed that chance. You know, I'm afraid of that stuff. But I was like, you know what? The pandemic, we're gonna be okay. Maybe, you know, it's gonna be fine. I don't know. I was not scared about that.
That's amazing.
So
Again, I
yeah,
think if anyone I think has roadblocks, mental roadblocks, or anything they think they can't do, this is a story to listen to because of the fact that you had a worldwide pandemic as your roadblock, and you said,
yeah.
COVID,
Nah.
you're not gonna stop me.
Nope.
Nope.
That's
Spiders.
right.
God, man, that's a
Spiders.
I'm just gonna
Love
start.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna start yelling spiders out for no reason at all. It just feels good. It feels
Yeah.
right.
Right.
But
Yeah.
go walking in that dojo. You brought up the smell. The atmosphere, the voices of the past clearly, and the spirits are still there, lingering
Yeah.
and you can feel them because it's like magic. If you've heard stories of people going to the dojo and just training, and sometimes just being there to clean up and for the legends, and eventually you are allowed to be trained or you are allowed to stay
Yeah.
here, and you were given this opportunity to stay in a place where many people probably got crawled and didn't ever
Humbled.
get that chance. They're like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
stay here, no problem. Versus
Yeah.
you wash my feet.
It's
There was no one to
true.
watch.
Yeah.
There was no one. There was no feet to wash. There was no one
I mean, that's also something, you know. You if you start to learn something here, you know, you live at the dojo, you're gonna be scrubbing them toilets, you know.
there. Yes.
So that's I mean, that's something for. I mean, I wasn't like a young girl per se because I didn't have my debut in Japan, you know what I mean. So they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, you know, I was not I was somewhere in between, but I was still living there, you know. And you kind of have to do it, you know. Like all these things are hard to, and you know, to understand for Western people. Yeah, I think, you know, there are, and the rules of hierarchy, just in general, the culture, you know. I wasn't prepared for being there for such a long time also. So, you know, yeah, it's not only the isolation, it's the isolation in Japan that is very particular and very peculiar at some times. You gotta get used to a completely different set of how to behave.
Right.
It's
Well,
very
you speak the
interesting.
language though too, which is amazing.
I Yeah, I learned it here.
Oh, you picked it up there. I was wondering that because at the
Yeah,
same time I see you in interviews and it's just coming out of your mouth so fluently, and I'm like, oh, so you learned that
yeah.
while there. Well, yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, she's speaking it fluently.
I think
You could
yeah,
be
you have
like,
no
jibba
idea
dabba dabba
what
dabba
I'm
doobie
saying.
you be gibberish out of your
Exactly.
mouth, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, is that a Taco Bell order?
Kind of gibberish. Nobody
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
knows what I'm talking about. No, but I did. I was the first time I came out here. I was like, oh, this is a cool language, and I like languages. So at first in 2019, I started to kind of like get my first app, and then just konnichiwa and it's Nissan. To start that, so I wouldn't completely embarrass myself in front of the Japanese people here. So, and after that, I just I was just always do something, and then I'm doing the app, and then I started to visit classes once a week, and then I was stuck here, and you just, if you're interested and you want to learn it, you just eventually pick it up, so combined with taking lessons every now and then just having a drink with one of the other girls, you get a little tipsy, then you don't have that language barrier anymore. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So then you're not afraid to say something, that's grammatically incorrect. It's just like whatever. So that's actually how I picked it up. Just talking
Wow.
to the girls and just being an extrovert and wanting to know. So now I
Wow.
speak a little bit of Japanese.
Well, you sound like a very exciting person to hang out with. Maybe someday we can have a drink and talk gibberish to each other as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Uh, though you were ranked number 69 on the top 150 PWI women, and that is gotta feel good because I've talked to a few different women wrestlers who were upset with their spot on the list, and yet number 69, you can make jokes all you want, but yeah, that is
Great number.
that's a great number to have in a
Best
list.
number.
So congratulations on having that number, but also
Thanks.
congratulations on your placement on there because out of all the women, there's obviously more than 150 women wrestlers in the world today, and yet you're on
Yes.
the list at number 69. How does it make you feel? Because for me, the PWI for so long, I have all the old almanacs, I still have them.
Wow.
Oh, that's 2008. I got a 1997 back there, but it's kind of feel good to be on that list because they've been kind of the standard for let's make a list 1 through
Yeah.
500 or 1 through 150, and we will tell you what is the best, what's the worst. But yet, if you make the list, you're all the best.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I had never seen the list before. That was
Oh,
the first time I was on the list, and then that's the first time. Maybe a year before that, I kind of picked up. Oh, there are lists, there are ratings, all that kind of stuff. But I don't personally, I don't care too much about these sort of things. It's incredible to be on the list, but um, I don't spend that much time, or I try not to spend that much time looking through these sort of things,
mhm.
because they can be distracting. Who's choosing, did I get lucky, because because my spider move went viral, I mean, there was
Yes.
just there was a lot of things that came together. I was a SWA champion, of course I work hard, but everybody, like a lot of people work hard, I mean, um, it's obviously an honor, but it's also I could have maybe not been on the list. I
It
could
wouldn't have
have. You
affected
know
your.
what I
It would. Yeah, it
mean?
wouldn't have affected your life. This was the first time I believe 3 Stardom women were the top 10 in the
Yeah,
top 10
yeah,
list, and so that to me was a big movement. Like we talked about when we started this, was how Stardom has this rocket ship on its back, and the PWI obviously I think is more heavy internet fans versus when I was younger. I would get those books and you'd go inside and in the list would be like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The
yeah,
Rock, Triple H. And now with the women added a few years ago, it's become this new thing where you're people are shocked that the WWE wrestler is not number one, or and then
yeah,
suddenly you see this and you're like, this list is not just mainstream. This list is match quality. Are you putting on consistently good work? And obviously, picking Stardom as a top 3 and then adding you as 69. It adds. We're just having a good time, man.
Dude,
God.
that was when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm on the list. You know, some people were tagging me. It's like, oh, what's my number? 69.
And some people, and I wonder if in some cultures 69 isn't really a big deal, but
Yeah, exactly.
to
Yeah,
some
you know,
people it's like
ooh, you used to get
69, you say. It's
so
like
silly.
seventh grade humor, and I still think it's
Yeah,
hilarious. You know,
I thought so too. I was like, cool, I'm on the list. Got a good number. Good night.
So what are your goals
No,
for
it's
2023 though? Because Stardom again is on the rise, it's doing well. Again, Battle in the Valley, February 18th. You know, Wrestle Kingdom was a success.
yeah,
The ridiculous amount of subscribers to New Japan World just based on that event, I think it doubled, tripled the numbers, around
really?
94, now
I
around
didn't even hear that.
94,000 subscribers that day. And then on top of that, you had new subscribers. So new visitors outnumbered original subscribers just because of the idea, I think, of will Mercedes be here? We also had obviously Kenny Omega involved with Ospreay. You had Okada and
That
Jay
was
White going at it.
insane.
So
Yeah.
there was some outstanding matches already leading into that card. But Stardom, again, I think Stardom 2023 is, I think, the year of Stardom because it's just everything seems to be going right. So for you, what do you want out of Stardom? What do you want of yourself for this year?
This is so hard because everybody's like, there's so much good stuff going on. We've got so many good wrestlers. It's there's a lot of competition. It's super healthy competition, but like we've got so many good people, and that's what makes Stardom so good. But I don't know. I mean, there's some stuff for me that could be very interesting. I know it's for a lot of people this is not one of you have the two biggest belts. It's the red belt and the white belt. Everybody's always going for those. I always like to look somewhere else and then elevate that. So when I had the SWA belt, um I really liked that belt. I don't know what happened, but I grew very fond of it. Also, as it seems to be that like a belt that is a little bit, it can be overlooked, for some reason, even though a lot of high profile wrestlers have held it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Tony Storm, Io
yeah,
Sky,
Io Sky,
a few more,
um,
Bree
yeah,
Priestley. So yeah,
yes.
there's been a few people who
And then
definitely.
Shuri, and then after me also Mayu Iwatani. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of top wrestlers have had it. So I don't know. I always like to. The problem with that belt is what I'm thinking is it has been Shuri was kind of she relinquished it to focus on the red belt, which is
Right.
obviously which was it was a good move. Now Mayu relinquished it to look at IWGP, so it kind of makes me sad because I think it's a beautiful belt. It has a very interesting set of rules. That you can only challenge another foreigner for it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yep.
it can't be somebody of your own nationality. So um, for me, I don't know. I still kind of this SWA is always in the back of my head.
Hmm.
Another thing is high speed. Um, Even though I don't like to be fast paced all the time because it's not the. There's one thing, I'm very very fast and I'm only getting faster. That's one thing. And then the other thing is I like to take my time torturing my opponents. So it's kind of counterproductive doing that too fast. It's not.
Hmm.
I like to you know, uh, give my sadistic side a little bit of freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but still, that's something like I when I challenged last year, I got a bit of a taste for that. Turning it on and off speed wise, and also very strong champions with high speed. But yeah, I'm. Then of course you've got the tag belts and the trios. Right now we're in the trios tournament, so that's also very interesting. But personally, I'm a singles. I feel more like a singles wrestler. I
Hmm.
like to I like to focus on my opponent 100% and not have to take care of too many other things at the same time.
Yeah.
So let's see where belts are, where championships are gonna have, where there's gonna be new champions. It's also gonna be interesting. There's always people challenging, so let's see what's gonna happen.
Well, I cannot wait to see what happens with your career this year, because you kind of brought it up. Spiders don't run in packs, so why, trios? I never see three spiders chilling out with each other eating a fly.
Yeah, right,
They're never,
right.
never sharing the
No.
meal. They're devouring their opponents. You like to
right.
slowly take them apart. You put them in the web, and you slowly climb up to them, and then boom, right in the face, take them out. I love it so much.
That's my thing. I can really relate to that. But then again, Stardom is it's all unit based. We all I'm in Donna del Mondo. So we're 5 people right now. I mean, things are always shifting, but it's about you gotta be part of a team. You gotta work. You gotta be able to work in a team. There's nobody who isn't part of a unit. Nobody's floating around. So that's just how it is in Stardom, and you got to work with that, and that's completely fine. And the time of the spider shall come.
Yes. The Rise of the Spider. That sounds like a new Star Wars movie.
Right.
I love it so much. You have a story to tell. We're selling Star Wars titles to George Lucas and Disney Plus right now.
That movie has to be made. Yes.
Seriously, the isolation of you in a dojo screams Oscar-worthy performance by somebody. I don't know who. Maybe me in a wig. I don't know. But all I have to say is that story is truly, give me that wig, is truly inspiring. I have my shirt matches your hair, which is such a by accident
That's
move here.
right.
Folks, we did not plan this. We did not coordinate.
We did not.
We did not say, excuse me, what color are you wearing today? We did not do that.
We did not. No, there's some other sort of connection we cannot put our hand on, but
the universe loves us so much. But I have to say, the Toxic Spider, thank you so much for being here on Tank Out, sharing your story, sharing your passion. Your inspiring story needs to be told to the rest of the world. So after this airs, I hope everyone realizes that if you have a mental block, if you have a physical block, if you have something holding you back from your dreams, remember, COVID did not stop her, so the rest cannot stop you. But I just want to say thanks for being here. I've been Steve Ball. She's been Thekla. Have a wonderful day. And she's going to beat everyone in Stardom coming up. I can't wait. 2023, the year of the spider. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
And then we'll edit there. Well, thank you so much for staying up late past your bedtime.
It's going...